going on, Bobby?
Hey, what's up, man?
Long freaking day for me.
I think you're allowed to curse.
Yeah, just updated the projections. I'm just about to look at everything now. But when I took a really quick glance, I mean, all the value kind of stinks. I don't want to say stinks, but just the projections are just not really that overwhelming, So I don't know exactly how to handle it.
Yeah, I think you got to play some suspect things. Kuminga, Sohan's going to project really well now because of what's his name, Keldon Johnson out. I still like Nuora as a potential play. I like that Indy San Antonio game in general. I don't know who's going to play in general yet. We at least know the Keldon Johnson news. You have Branham, who's questionable also, but I think he's expected to play. But if he's out for any reason, that just opens things up more. I think Bassey's reasonable to take a shot on as a cheap play. I think that McDermott is a guy you could take a shot on. So those are the guys who I'm looking at, like for value. And Matherin, we talked about both Neesmith and Nemhard, if you want to go that direction. They're not exciting ones, but if you get the right spend ups, I think that playing those guys makes sense. And you kind of can play them together in a little bit of the stack, which I do like, because then if it breaks your way, you're really crushing. But I like trying to have things ready for that thing, and I want to use my spend ups on Luka and Embiid primarily. I think Kyrie is interesting. I think that Halliburton, if he plays, is a great play. And then I like Paul George and Kristaps a little bit. I'm open to Jordan Poole, but I haven't quite found a build where I really like with him. And then going back to what you said earlier, the guy who I'm going to try to force in a bit is, not to what you said, but what you asked about earlier is Westbrook. Westbrook and Podol, I'm gonna play a little bit of. This is the kind of slate where you can take these kind of chances. I feel like a little bit easier than you normally would. I think the Podol thing sort of speaks for itself because he's not closing. People don't want to play him. But it's not guaranteed, first of all, that he wouldn't close, and it's a great matchup for him. So I like the idea of getting these guys at really low ownership. He and Westbrook being the two most unique ones, I think I said in the list of guys I liked.
Talk to me about Miles Turner.
I like Miles Turner too. And I like his skill set on FanDuel for this matchup. I think steals and blocks should be a big thing. Yeah, I like him. I think that he's another one, like, if you play him, like, I think that he's cooler, but I like him. I don't know what to say.
When I ran my Saberson build just now, it gave me only 20 lineups, though. It gave me 100% of Turner. That's the only reason I mentioned it.
Yeah.
And Sohan, you mentioned getting a decent amount of him. I'm not MMEing tonight. I'm gonna just play the big one and 3 box outs in the splash.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I just lost a little steam with the scripting over the last couple of days. Just took too much out of me. So I'm just gonna play a couple of bigger lineups tonight.
Yeah,
but I still like to use Saberson to see what kind of stuff kind of gets put up there. I'd like to take a shot with like I said, with the George Poole thing a little bit later. I think it's going to be kind of low owned, at least relative to the other builds, which are. Listen, I mean, people are going to play Embiid and Luka together, I presume, or at least one of them.
I don't think as many people are going to play them together. I mean, some people are definitely going to. I'm probably going to, but I don't think as many people as you think might be playing them together. I mean, I actually have like Luka right now is projected to be less owned than Poole is.
That's kind of interesting. So just for fun, let me share my screen. I want to just show you what these kind of lineups look like. Share screen, entire screen, share this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build like 20 lines. Oh, actually, let's just build 50 just for the sell of it. I'm going to lock in Luka and Embiid just to see what value shows. You know what I mean? Like if people played that way, if they try to play Luka and what's his name, Embiid, what values you think you're going to show up? You're going to get a lot of Jalen Smith, you think? I mean, where?
I don't know. You're very high on this Jalen Smith thing, and I can't.
That's what we're going to get to.
I think it's the guys. I think I'm pretty sure it's the guys I named to start the show.
Yeah, all these guys, you can get all these guys in Niemhart, Bassi.
Let's show your screen here.
I'm already showing it. Yeah.
No, it wasn't show. It wasn't clicked over. Yeah, so you still can get the Buddy Hield, Sohan, and McDermott, as I mentioned, Bassi. Yeah, you do have some of the Jalen Smith, quite a bit actually. Nemhard. Do you intend? Yeah,
it seems kind of weird to play 4 of those Pacers if Halliburton's playing, right?
It is a little weird. I don't think you need to play that many of them.
Well, and I think the reason why I bring this up, I wanted to see what lineups look like with Luka and Embiid.
What you're getting though is what I like a little bit, which is a game stack. So I like the 3-2 or something, you know what I mean, with San Antonio and Indy. And you can do that with the spend ups.
Right. Like this one, for example, this got Luka and Embiid, and this one's got Hield, Smith, McConnell. Oh God. It seems so rough. With so many
you use Nemhard, same thing.
Yeah. And this one gets you Anthony Lamb. I don't want to play McDermott. You want to play McDermott?
I mean, I don't have a problem with it on these kind of slates. Yeah. And you know, basically the way that it is, everybody should realize that the odds changed in the NBA. So what happens is the 4 worst teams all have the same even odds of getting the highest odds of getting the top picks. Those 4 teams are already decided. And obviously San Antonio is one of those teams. There's nothing for them to try to lose anymore. You know what I mean? Right. There's no reason for them to. So kind of makes you feel like at least that you might see some of these teams be a little bit more competitive than we're used to. And I do think that game, you know, they don't need to pull guys because they're playing too well, which we've seen a few times lately from OKC. So I personally like the idea of trying to play some of the thinner value plays, but also we're still waiting on news from that game. You know what I mean? Like if Halliburton doesn't play, like then you have to play these guys. So you won't be able to decide that if you play much in the earlier games, which is why they're getting so low owned. And I don't really love the Toronto-Washington game, but I do think trying to force in maybe a spend up makes a little bit of sense if you're not going to play Embiid and Luka together, because these are going to be the lowest owned of the other guys who can actually score. You know, even if they just 5x, you're not going to have a bunch of guys scoring 70 fantasy points tonight. There's only 2 that really
right.
So, which is why basically every spend up that has some ownership attached with him. Like, I mean, every single, like, even guys like Kuzma is getting ownership tonight, like at 7,700. You know, it's just a little weird. So to try to get unusual, that's why I like the idea of going for the single digit guys and maybe Podol or Westbrook. And I think that you'll get low ownership on those guys, and there's no reason why those guys can't at least 6x their salary, while the other who are a little more expensive fail.
Turner, Sohan. I like Sohan.
I just think he's going to be like a star. Like, I think he's really good. He's 19, you know?
Right.
And he plays like point guard to center. Like he really plays every position.
Does it matter to you? Does Delon Wright start usually?
Yeah, he's been starting.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not. I sometimes like Delon Wright, but it is his former team. It's not on the road. But
Max Kleber is back playing.
Maxie's back. He was hurt.
Okay.
He's like an important part of there. He's another one you can use, by the way. And
I'm getting to some of this.
He's going to have some ownership because people are they're going to try to, like, the thinking is they can use him in this kind of a matchup to try and stretch out Embiid, and they just won't give the minutes to Christian Wood. So, and he's also there. Kleber's arguably what I think is the best defender they have left. So you'd think he might be out there in a game like this. Maybe a little more than we're giving him credit for minutes wise. I got him at 20, 26, 25. You know, it's 3,300. We're on a day where we don't have the value we've seen, at least yet. We don't have it.
Yeah.
Pretty soon, you know, like if Halliburton's out and Emhart and then they're going to blow up. The one that we haven't talked about is Trey Jones, who hasn't played in a while. I don't know what they're going to do with his minutes.
Okay.
Kind of worries me a little bit because he looks like a pretty good play. Like, I mean, he's 5,100, which is probably 1,000 too cheap without Keldon Johnson. But I just don't know if I can click that button with the uncertainty. I think I'd be more likely to play Branham at 4,800, assuming that Branham is a go. But if Branham is out, it's really hard not to. Like, Trey Jones is going to look like the best value on the slate.
Embiid, Jalen Smith. Did we talk about Kuminga? You like him at all?
I'm playing him. I mean, but again, I look at these things as placeholders, like until we get other news. And I know there's only 4 games, but that's you know, that's all we can really do tonight. Kleber on a minutes limit. So, but the minutes limit is substantial. I think it's like I think it was like 26 or something. Maybe it's 20. Okay. Because he played 25 and a half the last game. I mean, Evans.
Would like Zach Collins at all?
Will there be another updated projections before lock? Evan's asking, which I think that is either a joke or that the truth is I think you pushed them already since nothing's happened.
I did.
Yeah.
So there won't be another one between now and lock.
Yeah.
Unless something happens. I don't know.
I'm fine with Zach Collins.
Halliburton gets ruled out in the next 15 minutes. There'll be another update.
Yeah. My thing with Zach Collins is like, you're going to play a guy who gets less minutes than Podol and is going to have 10 times the ownership. So why wouldn't I just play Podol? Unless I was just completely stacking that game, like with 6 guys.
That's interesting.
You know what I mean? It's just, does Podol outscore him 1 out of 10 times? He's outscored him the last 3 games. all the games in his new situation. Like,
yeah, I kind of like that idea.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I think I'm going to have to do it in one. I played 2 555s, and I think I'm going to have to put it in one. And I think with that kind of a build, you can go for more middling. You can play the Podol with Turner. You can pick from the Jordan Pooles who you like. You know what I mean? Or Westbrook who I kind of like, or Paul George. And you don't really need to worry about this sort of nonsensical value. I mean, that's pretty logical, but you're going to need points tonight.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get them, and that's why it's hard for me to resist the temptation of playing on a nationally televised game the 2 biggest studs, especially when you factor in that Philadelphia is on a back-to-back, flying from Miami, but Embiid didn't play, and is like the only guy that didn't play. So you'd think he'd be ready to go here. I'm going to have a hard time not playing those 2 guys, at least in a good portion of my lineups. Because look who else you're talking about projection-wise. You still have Halliburton, who I like. I'm not playing Harden tonight. I don't know what he did in Miami last night. I really don't. I think Kyrie is really interesting. I think Siakam is another one. Kawhi is going to have some ownership, but not that much. All of these are the middling guys like Porzingis, Paul George I mentioned. Van Vliet is another one you could consider. There are options. They're just basically all getting some sort of ownership.
Right. Yeah.
That's why I like the guys who, give me a shot at the Westbrook at probably around 10%, and give me a shot at Podol at probably around like 3%.
What do you think of Draymond tonight?
He's another one of those guys you could consider. I don't love this like matchup or anything for him, and yeah, it's fine. I have no problem with it. Like they're trying to win. They're playing competitive games. It's that you can probably boost up what early minutes were. Although he hasn't really played more than he had the 34-minute game. He hasn't really played a ton of minutes. I don't know. I still prefer DiVincenzo as a player from that game, which feels really weird to say out loud. But he's been, pretty active and fairly consistent. I don't know. I actually, it's a lot. This is not a fun slate, which again, I got to remind myself when I say that the last time I said that I won a tournament. So
there it is.
And I did it with what my first instinct was, which was to play Luka and Embiid together. So that's going to be what I'm probably going to roll with nothing having changed. By the way, how about John Rahm today?
He got the lead.
Yeah, he shot 7 under, but he was a monster.
7 under. That's a tough course.
Yeah, I mean, he was like birding all the holes that were like playing at a full stroke over par. Like, it's just crazy.
I got a bunch of guys at like -1. I mean,
I have in one of my things. I have everybody at even or -1, but it's like nobody's doing well though. In my 555,
that's gonna need some help there. Oh, Fleetwood +1. That's annoying.
It's annoying. I think I really think
I got a bunch of Keegan Bradley. He's -4. That's good.
I'll bet you though that the cut line ends up at +3. I love
Cantley and Schauffele are just doing their thing.
Yeah, they're cruising.
Mitchell had a double bogey, which kind of annoyed him, and then he made a birdie to get his round even. That's fine.
Yeah. To Slick in chat, by the way, saying Draymond doesn't shoot. Of course we know he doesn't shoot. Draymond never shot. He used to shoot 10 times a game. He's now down. He's now in the 6 to 8 range usually, which is what he always has been. Basically, it's for the last 4 years since Kevin Durant got there. He hasn't taken. It's been the same Kevin. It's been the same Draymond in terms of shots. He doesn't shoot, but that doesn't really mean anything to me. It's not a great steal block matchup. It's not a the assists could be there, but he's got other guys to compete with on his team. I don't think there's any special reason to play him tonight, but he's another one to consider.
Yep.
Christian Wood is terrible, by the way. He's a terrible basketball player. I just want to say this: like he's a very skilled offensive guy who makes every team he's been on worse. And, and his minute, like he's always negative in his minutes. Even when he played for Detroit and he had all those big games, just because guys put up big numbers doesn't mean that they're actually good basketball players. And you don't have to look any further than we had the guy we had in our lives who everyone was trying to convince us was the greatest center in the world, Hassan Whiteside. And look what happened.
Oh, what happened to him?
Yeah, he just fell apart.
Is he still in the league?
No.
Oh, that's too bad. I like
it. He's such a good fantasy player, but he's a terrible guy to have on your team. Like he doesn't he blocks shots, but somehow he only focuses on the ball wherever it is. So like he gets the backdoor lob dunks and he's not even paying attention, but he blocks a ton of shots because he's always looking at the ball. Like I don't know, and he can't really do anything else. He's like, I mean, he's got skills. He's just so inept as a human.
Yeah, he really was like a tremendous shot blocker and a tremendous fantasy player, like you were saying.
There was one night I remember where he was like a mid-range guy who was like projected for like a middling score, but ended up like it was a huge slate and all this stuff. And he ended up like point something percent on whatever, like nothing. And he had 79 fantasy points at halftime.
I remember that.
Yeah, what did he have? Like 11 blocks in the first half or something.
I remember that.
He was like, what the hell is this?
I think he ended the game with less, but I guess
that's a him thing.
Just kind of a.
I agree with Kobe on that one. Drummond is the same exact thing as those guys. Sorry.
He's what?
He's the same as those other guys, Whiteside and Wood. It's like the same thing. Really,
No, I mean, Wood could play off. I mean, Wood can score. I mean.
Yeah, but I mean, Drummond his numbers are pretty astounding.
Yeah, well,
Charles Bassey is a yes.
Wood could score 40 real life points. I mean.
Yeah. No, Wood is really talented. He just is a terrible for your team guy. But maybe they find a nice way to use him. That's what I mean. He can't even get minutes when he was their big offseason. This is the reason they don't have Jalen Brunson. Like, come on, man.
What do we so we got to create that. We kind of create an all I don't know what you call it, not all fantasy teams, but all players that we play in fantasy who are just awful for your team. Like what kind of team does that look like? We trade point guard, and then we'll put Yeah. Put like Karis LeVert at shooting guard.
Yep.
And then Christian Wood. He's got to be in there somewhere.
He's got to be in there somewhere because when he plays, he can put up 1 million fantasy points.
Who else is guys like that?
Well, one guy who's like that now, but he's not going to be once he gets better a little and older a little bit. Şengün is not helping anybody defensively right now, but he's a guy who can really put up numbers, and he actually is. But I actually like him though. Like I would want him. If I had a team, I would want him. It's a good question. Pop in some other names, guys, if you think of it, because I don't know who else totally fits that. Those were really good calls. Those were all really good ones. People will say Westbrook, but that's whatever. I still have my own feelings about that. I'm not ready to do that yet.
Right.
Yeah, in general, we are supposed to fade Turner when he's popular, MJ. It's just a matter of what other players you're going to play tonight. Don't play. I'm totally fine if you don't want to play Turner. But you can't just make a general, like a sweeping thing and just say, okay, well, that applies also to a 4-game slate. Drummond is the worst. Yeah, we all know that.
He's got to be the worst.
Yeah. Oh, Dwight Howard at the end of his career was like that.
Right.
For a while, he was really good. So he's a Hall of Fame player. All right. What else do we have here? I'm going to get out of here in probably like 8 minutes because I haven't built anything out other than just talking through this. But I think I'm going to do that middling build for one of my big builds. And I'm going to do the Luka Embiid from either one. FanDuel one, I'm not using Luka or Embiid. And I'm building mostly a San Antonio Indy stack. I posted the exact lineups on the site. I haven't changed it yet.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Oh, Montrez. That's a good call, Jimmy. Montrezl Harrell's another guy like that. He was a guy who, like, 4 years ago, you kind of did one on your team because that energy for 20 minutes was great. But it's just he's just totally like defensively become awful. I don't know exactly what. Yeah, it's a very weird slate. And what's also, maybe this is, I actually am looking at your projections too. And the funny part is, like, on a tiny slate, to have nobody who's like 50% owned when we've had every slate has been like a bunch of guys like that, even on 10-game slates.
Yeah.
Weird, right?
A little bit, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, MLB. I haven't quite crossed over to the MLB thing yet, so I'm not quite as ready as you are. It sounds like, Jimmy. Oh, so true, Kobe. You're totally right on that one.
But
he's talking about he fumbled the bag so hard, like, because he really could have made a fortune, and he just kept doing the weird contract thing anyway, and he became just terrible. Sorry, I got distracted by the golf check-in. Adam Scott, my guy, up to 3, finished at 3 under. All right.
Well, that's good.
Nobody played him, which is, always nice. Where did Webb Simpson end up, I wonder? I didn't end up using that much. I was really intrigued by it, and he was doing well for a minute earlier today. He ended even. Pretty solid.
Yeah, keep in mind, like most people are going to make the cut today.
What do you mean?
Because there's not that many people in,
Oh, in the tournament?
Yeah.
Yeah. But you still want the guys. It's going to get ugly tomorrow. Like,
yeah.
And I think that you need to, Matsuyama, okay, he ended 1 under. I'll take it because he had a rough start.
Oh,
Rory did not have a good day.
I wonder what happened to him.
He was +1. Oh my! Wait, no, he's bogey. All right. Questions, guys. Let's see. Oh, I totally agree, Jimmy. Yeah, the MLB. That is one great thing about the MLB stuff. You can literally just check in to see who's actually playing that day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And change everything.
Yeah.
It's a lot less stress. It's also a lot less skill.
Baseball's so much easier.
It's so much less skillful. It's crazy though. Like it's so hard, you know.
It's so less skillful. That's why I like it. I don't like the stuff that requires skill. Skills. I hate skill stuff. I like the luck stuff.
I'll take the luck anytime I can get it.
I'm psyched for the. I'm pretty psyched for the baseball actually.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun because you have.
We got to figure out. We got to figure out how to deal with it. You know what I mean? Like when we have both NBA and MLB going at the same time.
Yeah, we just combine them. I think
we handled it last year.
That's what we did.
So is everybody done for today? Yeah, it looks like everybody's done for the day in golf, right? Okay.
I think so. I think even if I think they may have.
So with the I don't know if Data Golf is figuring this out with the rain and stuff or whatever.
Not, I don't think.
So what are they projecting? Are they projecting?
They have it at 27% plus 1.
Yeah.
41% plus 2. 21% plus 3.
So it'll probably be plus 3 at the end of the day.
I think plus 3 is what you're looking at.
Yeah.
So your guys with your guys at plus 1 don't write them off. Fleetwood, This is very similar to that tournament. Fleetwood top 5 after the win day and everything, and he actually played better.
Yep.
Woo.
You okay?
You okay?
Huh?
You okay?
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Just got rest. It's heavy, so.
All right, guys. If there's no other questions, I mean, I'm gonna find this. Ooh. All right, I guess I'm gonna get out of here.
Yeah, I don't know what else to touch on the NBA without any. I mean, it's just one of those 4 gamers. Not a whole lot to talk about.
Yep. Any news? I'm sure will be in Discord. But
Yep.
let's take it down.